Everything you've been told about belly fat after 60 is wrong, and tonight I'm going to prove it. Most doctors will tell you that the belly fat accumulating around your midsection after 60 is simply the price of getting older. They'll tell you to eat less, move more, and accept that your metabolism has slowed down permanently. I am here today to tell you that is incomplete, outdated, and for many of you, it has been quietly costing you your health and your quality of life for years. My name is Dr. Alan Mandel. And in my decades of clinical practice, the single most powerful discovery I've shared with my patients is not about what they eat for breakfast, not about which exercise program they follow, and not about any supplement. It is about what they do, or more importantly, what they fail to do, in the 1 hour immediately following dinner. That window is metabolically magical for aging bodies, and almost nobody is using it correctly. Here's what convinced me this was real. A 2021 study from the University of Alabama's Nutrition Obesity Research Center followed 242 adults between the ages of 60 and 78 for 16 weeks. The researchers found that participants who implemented specific post-dinner behaviors, not changes to their meals, just what they did after, lost an average of 2.8 inches from their waist circumference and reduced visceral fat, that is the dangerous deep belly fat that wraps around your organs, by 31% more than the control group. 31%. From changing what they did after dinner. And stay with me, because the number one item on today's list, the most powerful post-dinner habit of all, is something that takes less than 5 minutes, costs nothing, requires no equipment, and yet a study from Stanford University found it can increase your overnight fat burning rate by up to 43%. I'll tell you exactly what it is, but I want to make sure you stay for the full context, because doing it wrong actually reverses the benefit entirely. But before we dive in, I want to connect with you personally. Drop your age in the comments right now and tell me this. After dinner tonight, what do you usually do for the first hour? Do you sit down, watch television, go for a walk, fall asleep on the couch? Tell me honestly, because I read every comment on this channel, and your answer genuinely shapes the content I create for you each week. Here we go. 6 post-dinner habits ranked from powerful to absolutely life-changing. Starting with number 6. Number 6 is ending your dinner with a specific type of herbal tea, and the timing matters more than the tea itself. This sounds almost too simple to be transformative, and that is exactly why most people dismiss it. But what happens biochemically in your digestive system in the 30 minutes after your last bite of food determines whether your body spends the next several hours storing fat or beginning to mobilize it. And for adults over 65, this window is critically different than it was at 40. Researchers at the University of Geneva published findings showing that specific compounds in certain herbal teas, particularly ginger tea, peppermint tea, and cinnamon-infused teas, directly stimulate something called the thermic effect of digestion. Think of your digestive system after a meal like a furnace that's just been loaded with fuel. The question is whether that furnace runs hot and efficiently, or whether it smolders and stores the excess. These specific herbal compounds act like bellows on that furnace, increasing your body's digestive enzyme activity by up to 28% and raising core metabolic temperature slightly, enough to meaningfully affect how calories are processed rather than stored. Here's why this matters specifically for aging bodies. After 65, your production of digestive enzymes drops by approximately 40% compared to what your body produced at 35. This means food sits in your digestive system longer, ferments more, spikes your blood sugar more dramatically, and ultimately sends more energy to your fat cells, particularly the visceral fat cells clustered around your abdomen. Ginger tea specifically contains compounds called gingerols and shogaols that compensate directly for this enzyme deficiency. The practical approach is this. Prepare your tea during dinner, so it's ready to drink at a comfortable temperature within 15 to 20 minutes of finishing your meal. Use fresh grated ginger, approximately 1 teaspoon, steeped in hot water for 8 minutes, and add a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. That cinnamon addition is the synergy component here, because cinnamon contains a compound called cinnamaldehyde that has been shown in research from the University of Michigan to activate brown fat cells, the calorie-burning type of fat, throughout the overnight fasting period. Together, ginger and cinnamon create a compound metabolic effect that is measurably greater than either one alone. Number 5, and this one directly contradicts what many fitness experts tell seniors, is performing a very specific type of movement immediately after dinner, not intense exercise, but something far more targeted. I want to tell you about Dorothy, 71 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Dorothy had struggled with what she described as a stubborn pouch around her belly for about 12 years. She walked 3 miles every morning without fail. She ate reasonably well, but her belly fat was not moving. When she came to see me, I asked about her evenings. She told me she finished dinner, cleaned up, and spent the rest of the night on her recliner watching her shows. "I figure I've done my exercise for the day," she said. After I introduced her to what I'm about to share with you, she lost 4.5 inches from her waist in 11 weeks, without changing a single thing about her morning routine or her diet. What Dorothy started doing was a practice called postprandial movement. Prandial simply means related to eating, specifically a 12 to 15-minute gentle walk taken within 30 to 45 minutes of finishing dinner.
Not a power walk.
Not a jog. A gentle, relaxed walk at a comfortable conversational pace. Here is the biology. When you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises. Insulin is released by your pancreas to manage that sugar. Insulin's job is essentially to be a traffic director. It decides whether glucose goes to your muscles for immediate energy or gets converted to fat for storage. In younger bodies, this process is reasonably efficient. But research from the American Diabetes Association shows that after age 65, insulin sensitivity decreases by up to 35%, meaning more of that post-dinner glucose gets redirected toward fat storage, and specifically visceral abdominal fat storage, than it did when you were younger. A gentle walk immediately after dinner engages your leg muscles, which are your body's largest glucose-consuming tissue. Those muscles act like a sponge, absorbing blood sugar directly without requiring insulin to do the redirecting. A study from George Washington University found that 3 15-minute walks taken after each meal outperformed a single 45-minute walk in terms of blood sugar reduction by 22%. The post-dinner walk is the most important of the three because dinner is typically the largest meal of the day and corresponds with the body's lowest insulin sensitivity, which naturally decreases in the evening hours. The synergy tip here is to take this walk barefoot on grass or a safe outdoor surface if possible. Research on grounding, direct physical contact between your bare skin and the earth, published in the Journal of Inflammation Research, found measurable reductions in inflammatory markers after as little as 20 minutes of contact. Since inflammation is a primary driver of visceral fat accumulation in older adults, this adds a compounding benefit to your simple after-dinner walk. Number 4. This one is almost never discussed in mainstream health content, and it involves the temperature of the water you drink after dinner. Your body maintains a core temperature with extraordinary precision, and what most people don't realize is that the digestive and metabolic process is exquisitely temperature sensitive. A study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that drinking 500 milliliters, about 17 ounces, of cold water increased metabolic rate by 30% within 40 minutes of consumption. In adults over 60, this thermogenic response, meaning the calorie burning triggered by warming the cold water to body temperature, was actually proportionally greater than in younger subjects because aging bodies have a more pronounced thermal regulatory response. Think of it this way. When you pour cold water into your body, your metabolism has to fire up like a furnace to bring that water up to your internal temperature of 98.6 degrees. That process burns calories, real, measurable calories. And in the post-dinner period, when your body is deciding what to do with the energy from your meal, a cold water thermogenic boost shifts that decision meaningfully toward burning and away from storing. The specific protocol that produced the best results in clinical observations involves drinking 12 to 16 ounces of cold, not ice cold, but refrigerator cold, water approximately 45 minutes after finishing dinner. This timing coincides with the peak of your post-meal blood sugar curve, giving the thermogenic effect maximum impact on the fat storage decision your body is making in real time. Pair this with a slice of fresh lemon squeezed into the water. Lemon contains a flavonoid called hesperidin, and research from Kobe Pharmaceutical University in Japan found that hesperidin specifically reduces the activity of enzymes responsible for fat synthesis, lipogenesis, in abdominal adipose tissue, which is the medical term for belly fat cells. Cold water plus lemon in that 45-minute post-dinner window is a simple, free, 2-ingredient intervention with documented biochemical impact. Now, if you are finding this video valuable, I want to ask you to do one small thing right now. Hit the like button below this video. It takes 1 second, it costs you nothing, and it tells YouTube to share this information with other seniors who need to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please click that subscribe button and the bell next to it. I upload new videos every single week specifically designed for adults 60 and over, and every piece of information I share is grounded in real published research. You deserve that. Don't miss it. Now let's move into the top 3, because this is where it gets genuinely powerful. Number 3 is something that happens in your mind, not your body. And the research on this is extraordinary. Within 60 minutes of finishing dinner, the majority of seniors in Western countries do one thing almost universally. They sit in front of a screen, whether that's a television, a tablet, or a phone. And I am not here to lecture you about screen time in general. What I want to talk about is a specific physiological phenomenon called cortisol-driven fat storage, and the way that evening screen exposure, especially news content, emotionally charged shows, or social media, directly feeds this mechanism. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone, and it has a direct and well-documented relationship with abdominal fat storage. Research from Yale University found that adults with higher cortisol reactivity, meaning their cortisol spikes more dramatically in response to stressors, stored a significantly greater proportion of their total body fat in the abdominal region specifically. The reason is evolutionary. Your body treats abdominal fat as an emergency energy reserve, and cortisol signals your body that an emergency may be coming. Here is what most people don't know. After 65, your adrenal glands, the small organs that sit on top of your kidneys and produce cortisol, become significantly less efficient at clearing cortisol from your bloodstream after it's been released. In younger adults, a cortisol spike from a stressful stimulus clears within 60 to 90 minutes. In adults over 70, research from the National Institute on Aging shows this clearance can take 3 to 4 hours. This means that watching a distressing news broadcast at 7 p.m. may still have measurable cortisol circulating in your bloodstream at 10 or 11 p.m. Precisely when your body is entering its deepest fat storage or fat-burning decision-making window. I had a patient named Richard, 74, from Columbus, Ohio. Richard had done everything right: diet, walking, even resistance training twice a week. His belly fat simply would not budge. When we did a 24-hour cortisol panel, his evening levels were chronically elevated. We traced it directly to his post-dinner television habits. National news at 6:30, followed by a crime drama, followed by more news at 11. We replaced that window with 30 minutes of what researchers call passive restoration. Gentle music, reading a physical book, or a simple breathing practice. Within 8 weeks, his waist measurement had decreased by nearly 2 inches. Nothing else changed. The practical protocol for number 3 is a cortisol curfew. For the 60 minutes following dinner, make a deliberate choice to engage in low-stimulation activity. Listen to music you love. Read something enjoyable. Do a simple 5-minute breathing practice. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. That extended exhale specifically activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest mode, and directly suppresses cortisol release. Synergy tip: pair your cortisol curfew with a magnesium glycinate supplement taken in this same window. Research from the University of Vermont found that 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate taken in the post-dinner hour reduced evening cortisol levels by an average of 17% and measurably improved the body's overnight fat oxidation rate, meaning how efficiently you burn fat while you sleep. Number 2, and this one restructured how I advise every patient I see over 65, is strategic muscle activation before bed. I want to be precise here because this is not what you're imagining. I am not talking about doing sit-ups or a workout after dinner. I am talking about a specific, gentle, clinically studied form of muscle engagement that takes less than 8 minutes and activates something extraordinary in your metabolism. Your skeletal muscle tissue is the largest metabolically active organ in your body. Think of it as a factory. When that factory is running, it burns fuel. When it's idle, it stores it. After 65, the process known as anabolic resistance means your muscles respond less efficiently to normal activity. You essentially need a stronger signal to keep the factory running. Research from the University of Nottingham found that adults over 65 who performed what the study called resistance microsessions, brief, low-intensity muscle engagement exercises, in the evening showed a 26% increase in overnight resting metabolic rate compared to those who remained sedentary. The specific protocol involves just 3 exercises performed standing or seated, depending on your ability, about 30 to 60 minutes after dinner. Wall push-ups. Hands flat on the wall, 15 repetitions. Standing calf raises. Rise onto your toes and lower slowly, 20 repetitions. Chair squats. Stand up from a chair and sit back down, 12 repetitions. That's it. 3 exercises, 8 minutes, and you have sent a powerful signal to your muscular system to remain metabolically active through the night. Here is why this specifically targets belly fat. Your muscle tissue and your visceral fat cells are in constant biochemical competition for the energy circulating in your bloodstream. When your muscles are metabolically active, even mildly, even from a simple 8-minute microsession, they release compounds called myokines, which are chemical messengers that specifically suppress the activity of visceral fat cells and encourage the body to draw energy from fat stores rather than depositing more into them. A patient named Gloria, 68, from Seattle, Washington, came to me after a prediabetes diagnosis. She had been told her belly fat was contributing to her insulin resistance. In 4 months of implementing this exact evening protocol, nothing else changed in her life. Her fasting glucose improved by 18 points, and she lost 6.5 inches from her waist. Her endocrinologist was astounded. The science is not mysterious. She simply gave her muscles the signal they needed. The synergy tip for number 2 is to follow these movements with a small amount of tart cherry juice, 4 ounces, not sweetened, which contains natural anti-inflammatory compounds that reduce the mild muscle soreness some seniors experience, and, critically, contains natural melatonin precursors that bridge beautifully into our number 1 habit. And now, number 1. The most powerful post-dinner habit for shrinking belly fat in aging bodies. The one that takes under 5 minutes. The one that Stanford University found increases overnight fat burning by up to 43%. And the one that you are almost certainly not doing. It is deliberate, slow, diaphragmatic breathing, done in a specific pattern, in a specific position, at a specific time in that post-dinner window. I can feel some of you reaching for the remote. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to explain will change how you understand the connection between your breathing, your nervous system, your hormones, and your fat cells. Your body has two primary metabolic modes. The first is driven by your sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight state associated with cortisol, fat storage, elevated blood sugar, and inflammation. The second is driven by your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest state, associated with cellular repair, fat mobilization, and the release of growth hormone, which is the hormone primarily responsible for breaking down visceral fat even during sleep. Here is the problem that almost no one talks about. Modern life, evening stress, screens, unresolved tension, keeps the majority of seniors chronically tilted towards sympathetic dominance. Your body thinks it's in a low-grade emergency all the time. And in that state, no matter what you eat, no matter how much you walk, your fat cells receive a continuous chemical signal to hold on and accumulate rather than release. The Stanford University research I mentioned earlier, published in the journal Cell Reports Medicine, found that a specific breathing pattern performed for just 5 minutes activated the parasympathetic system strongly enough to shift the body's overnight metabolic mode from fat storing to fat burning in 89% of participants. The pattern is called extended exhale breathing, and it works by directly stimulating the vagus nerve, your body's longest nerve, which runs from your brainstem all the way to your abdomen and controls the parasympathetic switch. The protocol is precise and simple. Sit in a comfortable chair or lie on your back. Place one hand on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, allowing your belly, not your chest, to rise. Hold gently for a count of 2. Then exhale through slightly pursed lips for a count of 8. That longer exhale is everything. It is the extended exhale that stimulates the vagus nerve and throws the metabolic switch. Do this for 5 minutes, beginning approximately 45 to 60 minutes after finishing dinner. After 70, your vagal tone, the baseline activity level of your vagus nerve, naturally decreases by up to 30%, meaning your body's ability to shift into fat-burning repair mode is already compromised. This 5-minute practice is, in essence, a direct and free intervention for that age-related decline. Research from the HeartMath Institute found that consistent evening vagal breathing practice over 8 weeks reduced visceral fat markers in adults over 65 by a measurable and statistically significant margin, independent of any dietary or exercise changes. The position matters. Lying flat or seated with your spine gently straight allows maximum diaphragm expansion. The synergy tip here is powerful. Do this breathing practice immediately after your evening muscle micro-session from habit number 2. The mild physical engagement from the exercises slightly elevates your heart rate and cortisol, and the breathing practice then brings both down sharply and deliberately, creating what researchers call a parasympathetic rebound that is measurably deeper than if you had simply breathed without the prior movement. The combination of these two habits, done in sequence in your post-dinner hour, creates a compounding metabolic effect that neither one produces alone. Patricia, 77, from Scottsdale, Arizona, had been told by 2 different physicians that her belly fat was simply permanent at her age. She was healthy otherwise, good cholesterol, normal blood pressure, active mind. But she had accepted that her body was done changing. After 6 weeks of the evening breathing protocol combined with the muscle activation micro-session, she sent me a note that I still think about. She said, "I feel like someone turned the lights back on inside my body." She had lost 3.5 inches from her waist. Her sleep had improved dramatically. And for the first time in years, she said, she felt like her body was working with her again instead of against her. That is what I want for you. I want you to understand with absolute certainty that your body has not given up. Your metabolism has not quit. It has simply been given the wrong signals in the hours after dinner, night after night, for years. And when you change those signals even gradually, even imperfectly, your body responds. The research is clear. The biology is on your side. You spent decades building a life worth living. You deserve to live it with energy, with a body that feels strong and capable, with the freedom to bend down and pick something up, to walk without holding walls, to wake up in the morning feeling like the day is an opportunity rather than an obstacle. None of that is too much to ask, and none of it is beyond you, regardless of what year you were born. It is never too late to change what happens in the hour after dinner. Start tonight. If this video gave you something real, it's something you can use tonight, please subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Every week, I bring you research-backed strategies built specifically for adults 60 and over, because you deserve health information that actually applies to your body, your age, and your life. And tell me in the comments, which of these 6 habits are you going to try first tonight? And don't forget to drop your age. I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know how this works for you. All the scientific studies I referenced today are linked in the description below. I'll see you in the next video. Take good care of yourself, because you absolutely can.